Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. Today is October 30th, 2018, and tonight we are going to be talking about how much silver is at the LBMA, COMEX, and SGE, the Shanghai Gold Exchange. The other night we talked about the increase in the silver stockpiles around the world, and I saw an article yesterday about the LBMA to reveal size of London's market. And it talked about how they're going to begin publishing data on November 20th that's going to provide an accurate picture of the size of the London gold trade. But before we get into, got some charts, some new charts for you. Let's look at the gold and silver prices. So today, the Dow Jones rallied back 431 points. And that was an increase of about 1.77, still below 25,000 at 24,874. NASDAQ rallied about 1.5 to 71.61. That was a 111-point gain. S&P 500 up 41 points to 2682, and that also is about a 1.5 gain. So what that do with the gold and silver? The gold actually did not move much again today. Opened around 1233, got as low at around noon to 1224, rallied a bit to 1229, but not enough to get a positive result on the day, so we were down 0.27 on the day. Now, over at silver actually had a better day than gold today. There is the silver price. The silver just wasn't managed to finish up a couple of cents. This is a 24-hour chart. But silver closed at 1446, down 21 cents over the last 24 hours. So it was down 1.44%. Not much move in either metals. Interesting because we had a big down day in the market, the equity markets, and a big up day, and gold and silver pretty much stayed about the same both days. Losses, minor losses in both days. So what does that do for the gold-silver ratio? Well, the gold-silver ratio is still... Actually, that's the 29th. What am I looking at here? Gold-silver ratio actually fell today. Sorry, those numbers I gave you, that was yesterday's. Let's go back. Gold price. But they are similar. So the gold price here, you can see today was down $7, down 0.57%, and it closed at $12.22. So it's down from yesterday. And then you had a slight increase in the silver price today, and that did put the gold silver ratio higher. So here's the silver chart, and there you can see up a very small bit, not a big gain, but at least a not a loss. So that did drive the gold silver ratio up just a tad, or down, because the price of silver went up just a tad. And here you can see the gold silver ratio on a 24-hour basis, going from 85.22 down to 84.58. So 0.75%, a decrease in the gold-silver ratio, still well above 80 to 1. Apologies, you got to see yesterday's and today's gold and silver prices twice. You saw yesterday's and then once today's. All right, so what does that do for I want to show you the Dow Jones. Now this is yesterday's numbers, but it's intentionally yesterday's numbers because I don't have today's yet. This shows the gold-silver ratio, the Dow Jones versus gold, down to 20 to 1 pretty much. And you can see gold edging higher, the Dow coming down a bit. We're going to see that reverse, though, on tomorrow's charts because of the movement today in the Dow up. Well, you can see it's a 20.084 to 1 ratio. All right, and that is it on the pricing today, I believe. Yes, okay, so now we can move on to the crypto prices. And they were flat today, pretty much. Very stable today over the last 24 hours. The Bitcoin at 62.69 right now. It's about as unchanged as you can get, up 0.04%. Bitcoin Cash up 1.5% to 419. Ethereum up 0.55% to 195, and Litecoin up 0.64% at 48.93, and Ethereum Classic 8.95 down 0.55. Before we move on from cryptos, I did an interview with Ann Rent today, and he went through a very thorough analysis of, for those of you who are interested in cryptocurrencies and scaling and the issues surrounding that, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and SegWit, and Lightning Network. So check that out. That is now available on BitChute and on YouTube. All right, so the other night, we were looking at the increase in the silver stocks held around the world. And one of the things I didn't have at the time, I had it, but I just didn't think to include it, was the LBMA. Now, the LBMA is announcing that they're going to have more transparency in the market coming November 20th. And I realize I do have, through Nick Laird, some limited data on the amount of gold and silver that they have, and they're going to be publishing even more data in next month. So here's what I do have. I'm going to give you some background on the LBMA. So that market trades 24 hours, and you can either do an immediate delivery on the spot, or you can do a futures. And they say that the refiners, the accredited refiners that the LBMA have, they refine about 5,000 tons of gold and 30,000 tons of silver a year. Now, 30,000 tons of silver is about 1 billion ounces of silver. So that is a lot of silver. And they claim that their clients are miners, central banks, governments, fabricators, investors, hedge funds, refiners. So it's a very, very big group of people that are involved in this, and there's a list of 144 member companies, members and market makers, and all the companies you'd expect would be there. JP Morgan, you have mining companies, you have full members. A lot of mining companies are involved with the LBMA. You have the Bank of China is involved, Bank of Montreal, you have BNP Paribas, you have BlackRock. You've got Brinks is in on that. Bullion Vault is in on the LBMA. Citibank, CME Group, Core Mining, Coins and Things. These are some of the same companies that have, we saw, gold and silver COMEX vaults. And the CME Group is also a member of the LBMA, Credit Suisse. So you can get a sense of what's here. JP Morgan is in here, Glencore, Goldman Sachs, HSBC, all your big names in banking, mining, JP Morgan Securities, JP Morgan Chase Bank, Loomis International, all your storage companies, Merrill Lynch, Mitsubishi, Morgan Stanley, PAMP SA, Perth Mint, all the big names involved in the gold and silver trade. Republic Metals Corporation, Royal Bank of Canada, Royal Canadian Mint, we said Perth Mint, Sharps Pixley, Shanghai Development Bank, Sumitomo Metals, Bank of Nova Scotia or Scotia Makata, the British Royal Mint, Thomson Reuters, Union Bank of Switzerland, Valcambi, World Gold Trust Services. So you see there's a large number of big names that are involved with the LBMA. And they claim now to have, they trade like $25 billion a day worth of gold. Now, all of that's not delivered. Now, that's what we've talked about in the past, that while you can get delivery from the LBMA and you can get delivery from the COMEX, it doesn't mean everyone does. They trade notional amounts, and some of it's delivered, though I understand more is delivered from the LBMA. Now, the difference with the LBMA is you have, it's person-to-person, peer-to-peer transaction. So it's hard, the transactions are conducted between the two parties. So it's not an exchange. It's these members trading. So you don't really know what's going on there. And I don't know how much information they're going to provide next month. But what they do provide information on is how much silver and gold, we're going to do the silver tonight, that they have at the, and again, they don't really say where they have it. They say that there's vaults involved in the London area, that they're operated by 8 companies. One of them is the Bank of England, and they hold either the gold or silver bars or both, and they're the same like in COMEX, the good delivery bars. But they don't quite break down which vaults have which, or at least I can't find it on the LBMA site, the way COMEX breaks down who holds what. And also, I don't know, well, let's just take a look at the numbers that Nick has pulled here that show how much silver they claim to have in the LBMA vault. And it gets a little tricky. They say that there's 34,901 tons of silver in these vaults. Now, for those of you who are saying, well, how much is, what does that mean? 34,000, almost 35,000 tons. Well, that is about 1.1, 1.2 billion ounces of silver. Now, for those of you who know how much silver that is, the average silver mining production in a year is about 830, 850, maybe 860 million ounces. So that's quite a pile. Now, also, if you look at this chart here, there's a monthly chart. It's not like this is a dwindling pile either at the London LBMA. Now, the problem with this chart is some of this is overlapping on what we talked about last night, because London is a very popular storage spot for silver ETFs. So this chart breaks down, so you really can't, you'd be double counting if you add in the ETFs plus this LBMA chart. But you can see here, this chart shows that a good portion, about 12,000 tons of this LBMA silver is ETF. And then it says other London holdings. Now, what is that? It's hard to tell. So the idea, though, is that these London vaults have about 34,000 tons, and then the COMEX vaults have about 9,000 tons. And then also, just to get a sense here, if you add in the Shanghai Gold Exchange, also has a silver exchange, and take a look at that. You can see here, they have about 1,600 tons, and that amount is increasing. There's stocks available. And the Shanghai Gold Exchange is also pretty much a very heavily weighted towards physical delivery of silver and gold. And those 1,500, that's about 50 million ounces. So that's about as much as our friends over at the Brinks COMEX vault have. So there's a lot of silver in these vaults. And this leads me to believe, if in just these three places that we've identified about 1.4 billion ounces, you know that there's billions of ounces elsewhere in the form of all of the minted silver products, silverware, silver jewelry, silver minted by sovereign mints like the U.S. Mint, minted over billion plus ounces of silver for coins for circulation, French silver coins, Spanish silver coins, Chinese silver coins, Indian silver coins, and then all the silver that's mined annually that gets used in electronics. Some of that goes to electronic waste. So there are billions and billions of ounces of silver, and some people like to tell you that there's not that much above ground silver. It's really not true. There's never really been, people talk about a silver shortage. We haven't heard of any time, even when there was massive investment silver demand in 2015, of any company or any electronic manufacturer or any solar manufacturer not being able to supply a product because they just couldn't get their hands on this silver. Now, we did have a silver shortage in the form of a lack of enough planchets to mint American silver eagles, but that's not the same thing as a silver shortage. It just meant there wasn't enough silver that had been banged into 1 ounce silver planchets. And the way I help people understand that is I say, you're running a picnic and you have beef and you have a line of people and you have hamburgers pre-made. The beef is pushed into hamburgers and the people are there and you're just selling a lot of hamburgers, but at one point you just don't have enough manpower to take the beef and form hamburgers out of it. you have a hamburger shortage, not a beef shortage. And it's the same with American Silver Eagles in 2015. The companies that they were getting the planchets from, the private companies, had just not kept up with production because that was a big year for American Silver Eagles. In 2015, they created or sold 47 million. So it appears that in places that we know about, we're well stocked with silver, and we have decent silver production still coming online. So when you hear silver shortage, game changer, game over, silver set to skyrocket, based on that, you just have to go dig a little further, because there's always a story that's based on some cherry-picked data. Some mine in southwestern Chile closed down, and we know that Chile is the second largest, I'm making this up, but partially factual, that Chile is the second largest silver producer in the world, and that means they're not going to be able to meet silver production, and silver is so valuable in our lives, and we can't do without silver, and the yoga pants industry, you know. You have to relax when you hear that kind of stuff, or you don't, or you can get all excited, if that's what you like to do, and think that it's you have some new secret information that only you know, and you need to buy your gold and silver today, otherwise you'll never be able to have it. It'll go no offer is another one I hear. And, you know, get your gold and silver before the COMEX defaults, or before China revalues the gold, or they back the yuan with gold, or any of these stories, before JP Morgan lets silver ride. I think you need to take a look more at more data and less at the echo chamber, but that's what I'm here for. And not that I have all the answers, but I do try to provide as much information as possible. All right, so small crowd tonight. You never know what you're going to get, but tonight's a small crowd. ASMR People says, running out of hamburgers is a real problem. Yes, it's a game changer. It's a hamburger shortage. That's when you need hamburger helper. All right, well, I hope you found these charts useful. They'll be on the website tomorrow, and at which time we will see you tomorrow. Unless there's any further questions or comments, we will sign off here. And there's 14 people. I would bet some of you already have your Smaulgld mugs, because I've sold far more than 14 of them. But if you haven't gotten your Smaulgld mug, please check that out now. At the link there, you can go to smaulgld.com, sign up, and get your Smaulgld mug. Thank you very much.